Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Star, and we've been privileged to have so many wonderful people on the Star Show that we do. But I'm so pleased and proud to have Bill Geha here today. And when you hear the name Geha in our community, everyone kind of knows. And Bill, you've done so many things, but I'll kind of wrap it in a ball here if we can. Teaching for 55 years, you've been a drug and alcohol counselor, 25 years at Sylvania, now you're doing it at Springfield. You ran Highland Meadow Pools for, was that 50 years you did that? But I'd like to focus in on your work as a drug and alcohol counselor. We're Facebook friends, and I told you this off air, and we should put it on air. I so admire, Facebook I think can be a wonderful tool. I think it can be, so many great things can come from Facebook, but then there's other things. But your posts are always so positive, always so uplifting, encouraging people, praying for people, wishing them the best. I find it inspirational. How do you, Bill, stay so positive all the time? I don't think I've ever heard a negative word, come out of you or in print. How do you do that?
My whole life, when I grew up, when I was a little boy, I couldn't talk. I stuttered so bad that I didn't talk.
Yes.
And one time, one of my teachers asked me what I wanted to be someday.
Yes.
And I said, I want to be a teacher. And he made fun of me in class.
In front of the other kids.
And that changed everything. I started practice talking, and I became a teacher. And I enjoyed working with kids with disabilities.
Yes.
They were, I still meet with kids that I taught.
Oh, sure.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
And that has made, and all 4 of my kids are teachers.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. There's nothing more important than a teacher and a coach. I've lived that life. I know, excluding myself, but I know the impact that they have. And I know what they mean to young people, especially when they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You took, because you're a strong man, you took what was done to you as a youngster, which was totally wrong. It was the Midas touch in reverse. You took what should have never happened, but you were inspired to make it change.
Yes.
And but most 99% of all teachers, 98% are doing positive things, helping kids, just like you every day. And people don't realize, well, parents will say, well, we're positive with our child. That's great, and that's wonderful. But sometimes, and you know this better than anyone, Bill, a youngster has to hear it from somebody else, from a teacher, from a coach, from a counselor. And I don't know why that is, but they need that different view,
Yeah. One of the things that I've had the opportunity of doing over the years is working with kids with disabilities, and they have been amazing.
Yes.
Been amazing. And it's interesting. I still meet with kids that I've taught years ago.
Yes.
And they'll contact me. Actually, I have 3 kids that were on Broadway.
No kidding. Congrats.
Yeah. And in movies, because I started that group. It was called America's Pride Drug Prevention Team. And we got to travel and work with kids all across the United States.
Bill, I will venture this, Bill. I will bet that you've had, through your incredible career, lifelong career, thousands of kids come up to you and say, Mr. Geha, do you remember when you said that? That made a difference in my life. Now, you may not remember what that was, but I'm sure it was positive and it was uplifting. That has to happen to you a lot, Bill.
A lot.
Yeah. No
They
question.
remember things that I did in class.
Yes.
Silly things, because I used to love to do that. I had a squirt gun, and if anyone ever fell asleep.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
One time, one of my classes took my squirt gun.
Yeah.
They froze it. I walk in, someone's falling asleep.
And you went to do it.
40 kids brought squirt guns, and they nailed me.
Oh, see, but that's out of love. That's out of respect. They're admitting how much you mean to them and in their lives. But
Yes.
Bill, I want to take you in another road. You know, you've taken on the very tough task of drug and alcohol problems with young people, and it is everywhere in our community, everywhere across the United States. You've been very, very successful. You're an inspirational man. Is there, in your opinion, an answer? I don't know if there's one single bullet answer to anything, but in your great experience, is there an answer, one thing, or a couple things that parents could be doing, that people could be doing to help their youngsters avoid those pitfalls?
You know, I think the biggest thing is parents have to interact with their kids,
Okay.
and they have to let them know how much they mean to them.
Yes.
There are so many kids that I've worked with that were self-medicating
Yes.
because of various things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they took care of things.
Sure. They're in some form of pain.
Yes,
Yeah. Emotional, whether it's emotional,
There's
mental.
so many things.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and I still today, I go to AA and NA meetings and listen to amazing people in recovery,
Yes.
and I listen to their stories, and I've done that for years and years. They are inspirational.
Well, Bill, that's another salient point. Sometimes I think people think there isn't hope, but there is recovery, and people
Yes.
do make it, and you've had tremendous successes. So I think it's important for people to know that it is hopeful, that you
Yes.
can recover, right?
Oh, you can't. And I still meet with kids that I've worked with 20 years ago,
Yes.
and they'll call me, and I meet with them. If they're struggling, they'll call, and we'll sit and we'll talk. So, and I tell, when I do workshops in the schools, I tell kids, if you ever need to talk, it's between us.
Right.
It's so important.
Right.
It's interesting. I can pick out kids who use. I don't get them in trouble,
Sure.
but
But you can identify characteristics.
oh yes,
Yeah.
I look for things, and I learn every day. I learn every day, and the amazing people in recovery. And one of the things, I never give up on people.
You know, you're a testament. If we have more people doing what you're doing, Bill, things would be a lot better. I think that people I know they have the wrong view on drug addiction and alcoholism, and it is a disease. And people, you know, I'm so tired. I hear people go, well, if you were disciplined, if you really tried hard, no, it's a disease which needs to be treated. Incarceration is not the answer.
No.
My daughter's a judge in Sylvania, and she started a drug program where you move the people into treatment as opposed to going to jail. It's not a jailable unless they're physically violent or something, hurt somebody. They need treatment, and I don't know how you break through with that with people, because if you were strong and you just said no, back to the old Nancy Reagan days of just say no. Well, that's a nice phrase, but that's not really what you're dealing with, and you need to understand it is a disease that can be treated.
Yeah.
What is the real success rate, would you say, that you've had, Bill, with people that you're probably a higher success rate than most people, I'm sure, but what would you say the success rate is, the kids that you've worked with?
It's interesting. It's high. One of the things I do, I give them that sense of purpose,
Yes.
and I work with them. And when I counsel, I don't counsel one time.
Right.
It has to be ongoing. And I even work with kids during the summer, and there are times that I'll help kids get jobs.
Yes.
And but it's ongoing, and I don't just work with the kids, but I work with the families.
Yes.
That is so important.
Well, I can see just in our little chat, you're such a great man. You're non-judgmental. I think it happens a lot of times with kids with problems. They get slammed by people. You're no good. You're not this.
Yes.
You're not that. And their self-worth goes right down to the basement.
Yes.
And you're a non-judgmental guy. You're there to genuinely help them, encourage them, see them succeed. And I think you're a person too that somebody can read just how much you care, that your heart is truly in it. And I think that's a major difference maker. I really do.
Yeah. And I tell kids, I just never give up.
Well, that's the other thing. Matter of fact, that's where I was going to go. People, when someone slips and they use again, and they've been say clean for a while, and then they use again, people get down on them, and well, they can't do it. But you know this much better than I. But I do believe most people who ultimately become sober for the rest of their lives have a series of slips here and there. It's not just a light switch thing. Okay, suddenly now you're fine and it's okay. It was a process to get there. So a slip is not necessarily a horrible thing. They're going through a process.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Bill, I'll tell you, we've had a lot of people come through this desk and be a Steve Taylor Community Star, Steve Taylor Community Connection. We admire you so much for what you're doing in our community, the difference that you're making, lifting our kids every day. You're the best. Thank you, Bill Gehay, and keep doing your great work.
Thank you so much.
All right. Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Star.